Hello everyone, welcome back to week 27 of our Power Ranking series, our second playoff version of our Power Ranking series, as we saw some major shifts in the Power Rankings in the top 8 and the 2 honorable mentions after a very interesting first week of NHL playoff action. We'll get to all the updates and how the Power Rankings shake out this week coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would know to without you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. It really helps out the channel, and we're on the road to 500 subscribers. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below listing all those discussed in today's video. So in today's video, as usual, we got our Power Rankings video. We're going to look at the top 8 teams in the playoffs after all the teams have hit 4 games. One team has hit the 5-game mark, and we'll look at 2 honorable mentions after what was a very entertaining first week of NHL playoff hockey. So this week we're going to be looking at 8 teams in the Power Ranking series who have made the top 8 and then 2 honorable mentions. So as usual, we'll start with the 2 honorable mentions. So my second honorable mention is the team who was not in the playoff Power Rankings last week. They were actually one of the 6 teams who was on the outside looking in, and that is the Minnesota Wild. The Wild had a very good start to the playoffs. I personally was expecting the Golden Knights to really cruise past the Minnesota Wild. I was expecting it to be a shorter series. I predicted 5 games. Knights would easily win it. The Wild have shown very resilient effort so far. After a bad loss in Game 1, they put together back-to-back 5-2 performances, and they lost in overtime in Game 4 that made it a 2-2 series. But still, this Wild team was resilient. They were great, and that's why I'm putting out my second honorable mention. Like, honestly, they looked scary, and they still actually have a shot, if they can win a couple more games, to actually advance to round 2, which is something I was not expecting the Wild to even have a possibility of. So interesting stuff there from the Minnesota Wild, but a solid week there, going 2-2 in their first round series. Has me putting them as my second honorable mention. Offensively, teams clicking. Boldy and Kaprizov absolutely are, but also Eriksson, Zuccarello, and Foligno are as well. Defensively, Faber, Bouillon, and Brodin are all looking really good defensively. And in net, both Gustafsson and Fleury have done all right for this Wild team. So interesting note there, but the Wild do make my honorable mention this week as honorable mention number 2. My first honorable mention this week is a team who was in the top 8 last week, but does fall out, and that's the Dallas Stars. Now the Stars did have a really good game last night as they took down the Colorado Avalanche in impressive fashion. But before that, it was sort of seeming like the Avalanche were controlling most of the games. The first and the 4th game of that series, they got obliterated, and then the middle 2, they did win, but it had to come in overtime. So the margin of error has been very slight for Dallas. They did a really good job winning that 5th game over on Monday, but still, it wasn't overly great there for the Dallas Stars the first 4 games. That's why I do bump them out of my power rankings and into my first honorable mention. But still, this team's looking really good. They have the lead in the series, so I'm not going to bump them down too much. Offensively, team's looking good. Rantanen, Johnston, Duchesne, Hintz, Seguin, all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Petrovic, Harley, and CC doing pretty good defensively, and net Onger still giving them good goaltending. So all in all, a solid series so far from Dallas, and they are my first honorable mention. Now going over to the 8-team power rankings. So in the 8th spot of my power rankings is a team who actually has a shot to end the series in 5 games, and that is the Carolina Hurricanes. Now the Hurricanes have not had overly pretty wins. They've won, I think, 4-2 was 3-1. They lost a double overtime game, won 5-2. So they're up 3-1 in this series, have a chance to end it on home ice against New Jersey Devils. The Devils, though, are a very banged up team. Their blue line's banged up. They're missing Jack Hughes. So this Devils team is not overly good right now, and the Carolina Hurricanes are taking full advantage of it. But I think this might be a tighter series if the Devils were fully healthy. So interesting note there. But I do think that the Carolina Hurricanes, who I did not have in my top 8 last week, do wind up going in after a solid series so far and being up 3-1. Still, this team isn't doing overly bad. They have a shot to close out, like I said, so still doing pretty good offensively. Stankoven, Jarvis, Aho, Svechnikov, Martinook, all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Burns, Chatfield, and Orlov doing pretty good defensively. And net, Anderson's been pretty good for the Hurricanes. So all in all, solid stuff there from Carolina. They are my 8th team in my power rankings. 7th team in my power rankings, and being bumped up 1 spot from last week is actually a team who's down 3-1. But I think it's actually played quite well, and that is the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens have actually done quite well against Washington Capitals, which is why I am keeping them in my top 8 power rankings. This team's still looking pretty good. They did lose the first 2 games to Washington, as we talked about. I think it was the first one was in overtime. They lost the second one 3-1, destroyed Washington 6-3 in the third one before losing 5-2 in a game that they controlled for most of it, 5-2. So they're down 3-1 in the series, but this is a series that feels like it could be a 2-2 series. Wouldn't be surprised if the Canadians forced to game 6. So we're going to wait and see on that. But with the Habs, pretty good play against one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Even though they're down the series, I'm going to put them as my 7th team on my power rankings. This team's looking really good. Offensively, Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Suzuki, Newhook, Gallagher, all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Hudson, Savard, and Matheson doing pretty good defensively. And in net, Montembeault and Dobes, who's had to come in, have both been doing pretty good in net. So all in all, Habs are looking pretty good. And even though we're around 3-1, I'm putting them as my 7th team on my power rankings. 6th team on my power rankings this week is a team who was down 2-0, did not look overly good in their first 2 games on the road, but won both games at home and was able to tie up the series. And that is the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers did not have really great games in Los Angeles. They got outscored 12-7. Their second game was not overly great, but they found their footing, won a couple of games in Edmonton, and now head back to LA in a 2-all series. So still in a 2-all series, they're looking really good, and that is why I have them as my 6th team on my power rankings. This team is one that's definitely has some gaps defensively, but it's still a really good offensive force, and that is why they are 6th in my power rankings. Offensively, this team is clicking. McDavid, Draisaitl, of course, but also guys like Podkolzin, Janmark, and Nugent Hopkins doing pretty good offensively. Defensively, Bouchard, Nurse, and Emberson doing pretty good defensively. And in net, Skinner and Picard, who both had to play in net, have both done all right, although they could do a little bit better. So all in all, Edmonton's had some gaps defensively, but came back from a 2-0 series deficit. That's why they are 6th in my power rankings. 5th in my power rankings this week is a team who we just talked about their opponents, and that is the Colorado Avalanche. And the Avalanche do find themselves down 3-2 to the Dallas Stars, but they have had some really good stretches. Like, they controlled most of the play in those first 4 games, dominated 2 of them to outscore Dallas 9-1 in their wins, lost a couple of overtime games, did get quite beaten up badly by Dallas in game 5, which is why they are trailing in this series, but they are still a really good team. They were the 3rd team in the Central Division in the regular season. They were one of the few teams to hit the 100-point plateau. So the Avalanche, they are facing elimination now, I think are a really good team, and that is why I have them as my 5th team in my power rankings. Offensively, team's still looking pretty good. McKinnon, O'Connor, Natchez, Lehkonen, and Landeskog, who actually made a series debut. First time playing playoff hockey in 3 years, so really good stuff there for Landeskog. Defensively, Taves, Girard, and McCarr all doing really good defensively. And in net, Blackwood has done pretty good in his first taste of playoff action. So all in all, solid stuff there from the Avalanche. I'd say they're 5th in my power rankings. 4th in my power rankings this week, and leading their series 3-1 with a chance to put away in the very near future is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs had a lot of close games in their series. Opened the series up with a dominant 6-2 victory. Since then, 3 straight overtimes. They won game 2 at home. They won game 3 on the road. Lost game 4 on the road, which could have had a chance to sweep, but they don't. So they're going back home with a shot to end it. We'll see if they are able to do so. But with Toronto's solid performance, being the only team in the playoffs this year in the first round to go up 3-0, I am putting them as my 4th team in my power rankings. They are still looking lethal, and I do think they'll have a shot to end this series in quite short fashion, probably 5 games. Offensively, this team is clicking. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, and Nyes all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Tanev, Oliver Ekman Larson, Riley doing pretty good defensively. And in net, Stolarz has looked great for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So all in all, solid stuff there from Toronto. That's why they are 4th in my power rankings. 3rd in my power rankings, and blowing a 2-0 series lead, but still scoring a whole bunch of goals in the process, is the Los Angeles Kings. I put them at my 3rd team in my power rankings this week, bumping them up a little bit from last week. The Kings had a really solid stretch this week. They started out the series with a 2-0 series lead over Edmonton, as we talked about, outscored them 12-7. They held leads in the 3rd period in both game 3 and 4, however, did blow both those leads. Lost game 3, 7-4, lost game 4, 4-3 in overtime. So wasn't overly great games in Edmonton, but they're going back home with a shot to take a 3-2 series lead. So not great stuff there for Los Angeles in Edmonton, but still, they are a really good team. They have home ice advantage. They're the 2nd seed in the Pacific Division, so that's why I'm putting them as my 3rd team in my power rankings. Offensively, teams clicking. Fiala, Kempe, Kopitar, Kuzmenko, and Byfield are all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Clark, Doughty and Anderson looking really good defensively. And in net, Kemper has looked great for the Los Angeles Kings. So all in all, solid stuff there from LA. And even though they're in a 2-2 series, I put them as my third team in my power rankings. My second team in my power rankings this week is a team who has just put a team who I picked to win the series on the brink of elimination, and that is the Florida Panthers. The Panthers are looking lethal. They're looking like they're ready to go to their third straight cup in a row. They started the playoff series by destroying the Tampa Bay Lightning 6-2, then shut them out 2-0, lost 5-1 after a couple of empty netters, and then they were able to, on Monday, take down the Tampa Bay Lightning in incredible late game fashion 4-2. So Panthers are looking lethal. They're looking like a scary to face team, and that is why they're second in my power rankings. They're looking like they're going to be a team who might be able to go on another long playoff run. Offensively, teams clicking. Matthew Tkachuk, Bennett, Reinhart, Barkov, and Lundell all looking good offensively. Defensively, with guys like Ekblad, who's now back, as well as Jones and Forsling doing really good defensively, and in net, Bobrovsky has looked great for the Florida Panthers. So all in all, solid stuff there from Florida. That's why they're second in my power rankings. And the first team in my power rankings this week is a team who was first in my power rankings a lot in the regular season, and that is the Washington Capitals. The Capitals had done great this week. They have a 3-1 series lead, as we talked about, over the Montreal Canadiens, won a narrow 1-3-2 in overtime, then won another narrow 1-3-1 over the Montreal Canadiens, before they wound up losing in Montreal 6-3, and then found a way to win 5-2 in Montreal when they were trailing. So really good stuff there from Washington. They have a shot to end the series back home. First time in a while they have a shot to end the series and advance to round 2, so we'll see if they can do that. But Washington's looked really great. They look like the exact same team who was in the regular season, a dominant, defensive-minded powerhouse of a team, and that's why they're top in my power rankings. Offensively, teams still clicking. Ovechkin, McMichael, Dubois, Mangiapane, and Dume all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Trevor Henry, Chikrin Carlson all looking really good defensively. And in net, Logan Thompson has been money for the Washington Capitals. So all in all, really solid stuff there from the Capitals. They're up 3-1 in their first round series, and that's why they're first in my power rankings. So those are my power rankings for the second week of the playoffs and for the 27th power ranking week. Just to recap really quickly, I did take 3 teams out of my previous power ranking video and put 3 new teams in. So I took Tampa Bay, who was 6th in my power rankings last week, Vegas, who was 3rd in my power rankings last week, and Winnipeg, who was 1st in my power rankings last week, all out after not all really great first few games in the playoffs. And I put the Florida Panthers, who are now 2nd in my power rankings, the Carolina Hurricanes, who are 8th in my power rankings, and Minnesota Wild, who are 2nd honorable mention, all into my power rankings. So interesting note there. But just to recap here, my top 8 power rankings for this week. So at this point in time, I have the Carolina Hurricanes at the 8th spot, the Canadiens at the 7th spot, the Oilers at the 6th spot, and the Avalanche is the 5th spot, the Leafs at the 4th spot, the Kings at the 3rd spot, the Panthers at the 2nd spot, and my number 1 team, entering for the first time in a little bit, is the Washington Capitals. So definitely, those are my power rankings as it sits right now. I'll let you guys thoughts. They put them too high, they put them too low, and if you have to do power rankings for this point in the playoffs, I'd love to hear who you guys have where. Definitely your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video, and if you're watching, subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on all those discussed here today. There's also a blog, some news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so check that out. Leave a link to that down in the description below. Can't see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.